Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in and diving way below the surface of a booming and, yeah, highly controversial digital platform. We're looking at a fascinating analysis by writer Edson to uncover a massive, seismic cultural shift going on right now. It's all about youth screen time, chronic loneliness, and exactly how basic human connection is literally being packaged and sold. We're going well beyond the headlines today to reveal some pretty deep truths about how a whole generation's socialization and development are fundamentally being altered by the digital world.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our clear roadmap for today. 1. The rise of OnlyFans. 2. Selling illusions of connection. 3. The screen addiction crisis. 4. The creator wealth myth. And 5. Breaking the digital habit. We're going to move from the huge macroeconomic data all the way down to the deeply personal societal implications.
Section 1. The Rise of OnlyFans, a digital behemoth. To truly understand our modern moment and how screen addiction is shaping our youth, we first have to grasp the staggering scale of this specific platform.
378 million users. Think about that number for a second. That is how many people are actively engaging with this platform. To put that into perspective, that is actually more than the entire population of the United States. This isn't just some fringe internet trend. It is a massive, booming digital economy that has quietly captured the attention of hundreds of millions of people worldwide.
And this brilliantly illustrates the pure financial gravity here. In 2025, users spent an estimated $7.2 billion. That single figure literally exceeds the entire gross domestic product of the country of Andorra. It is an explosive digital economy built on millions of microtransactions, and the sheer volume of cash flowing through it absolutely demands our attention.
Which brings us to this powerful quote from writer Edson, who actually named this his 2025 Company of the Year. Not because it's the most profitable, but because it perfectly captures our current cultural moment. He points out that the platform thrives by capitalizing on the specific conditions of our time. Chronic sexlessness, profound loneliness, and, a terminally online society. It's basically a mirror reflecting our deepest cultural voids, specifically impacting youth who have never known a disconnected world.
Section 2. Selling illusions of connection. The Substack for porn. We have to ask a really logical question here. Why are people paying for content that is virtually everywhere for free on the internet? What is actually being sold?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the ultimate bait and switch. The core of this business isn't actually just the visual content at all. It's the private chat function. Users are paying substantial amounts of money for the privilege of privately messaging these creators. They aren't just buying images. They are buying access to communicate. They're paying to fill a massive void of companionship, effectively buying the illusion of a relationship.
But here is where the ecosystem takes a truly dark, almost tragic turn. Popular creators get hundreds of thousands of messages, right? They physically cannot answer them all. So they outsource this work to chatting agencies, meaning a lonely young man spending his disposable income to talk to a woman, a guy whose screen addiction has isolated him from real-world peers, is very often just texting another guy sitting behind a computer pretending to be her. It's an entire secondary economy built completely on a mirage.
Section 3. The Screen Addiction Crisis, Replacing Reality. To understand how such a bizarre, illusion-based ecosystem became a multi-billion-dollar industry, we have to zoom out and look at the underlying behavioral shifts that made this possible.
There has been a staggering 15-year behavioral shift in our youth. Young people today spend about 70% less time in the real world with their friends than they did a decade and a half ago. In contrast, they're spending about 70% more time looking at their phones. Because young people are spending so much time isolated on screens, they are subconsciously craving a level of connection they simply aren't getting in the physical world anymore.
Edson calls this the new cigarettes. And wow, what an incredibly apt metaphor. Just like tobacco companies, these platforms are functioning as vast businesses designed to hook youth and monetize their screen addiction. When our basic human need for connection is starved in the real world, digital platforms step right in to exploit that void, monetizing young people's loneliness at a rate that is, frankly, just staggering.
Section 4. The creator wealth myth. Economic realities. Now, it's important we impartially examine the counter-argument here regarding young women using this as a tool in the modern gig economy. We absolutely must acknowledge the very real, very difficult economic cards that young people have been dealt today.
They are facing record housing prices that make independence incredibly difficult. They're burdened by record college costs and massive student debt. We are looking at a modern economy that fundamentally does not work in favor of youth. So it is entirely understandable why young women struggling to make a living would turn to platforms like this for extra income.
So the crucial point is this. Despite those very real economic pressures driving creators to the platform, the idea that this is a reliable path to wealth is a total myth. The top 0.1% of creators collect 76% of the total revenue. That leaves the remaining 99.9% fighting over just 24%. Only a tiny, tiny fraction of people are actually getting rich off this system.
Section 5. Breaking the digital habit. Finding a way out. If this entire ecosystem thrives on monetized loneliness, screen addiction, and economic desperation, how do we escape this digital loop? On an individual level, the path forward starts with honesty, definitely not self-shame. Step 1 is simply acknowledging the reality of the situation, recognizing the illusion for what it is. Step 2 is making the conscious, empowering choice to get offline and stop spending your disposable income on screens. And step 3, the absolute most important one, is deliberately reinvesting that energy and money into building actual connections in the real world.
Let's move to and see how this builds on a societal level. We can look at Australia's model as a fascinating potential roadmap. By banning social media for those under 16, a society can prevent these platforms from hooking kids early. As those youths age into their late teens, they grow up without these devices being deeply ingrained in their habits. By the time they hit their 20s, this generation is largely free from the extreme screen addiction that leads someone to pay $20 a month to text a stranger. It literally nips the addiction in the bud.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to ponder. If our fundamental, deep-seated human need for connection has successfully been transformed into a $7.2 billion corporate product, what exactly are you sacrificing every single time you choose to look at a screen instead of reaching out to a friend in the real world? It's a question we all need to ask ourselves. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep questioning the world around you.